Hey there, it's Chris. Welcome back to the next part of the Yoshitaka Amano inspired Final Fantasy V project here, where last time we started working on the scrolls, we got some of the books going, and if you've been following this so far, you've probably noticed I've started a number of elements, but I haven't really finished a lot of them. I still have a little bit of the mattress kind of thing to do. I've only done the tassels kind of on the one side, I haven't done the back. I've done 2 of the scrolls, I haven't done 2, I haven't finished all the books. And at the same time, I still haven't gotten to the top of this yet, so at this point in time, I still don't want to touch those. I'm going to put those off for one more session, or maybe it might be more than one more session. We're going to add more to this pile of things that probably isn't done, because I want to start getting this Astrolabe stuff going. I want to get these planets. You can see all these the spheres down here. I want to start getting these planets put up here. So if we give me 1 second, if I take you and just kind of slide you over, that's going to be kind of our main focus now of the day, is getting these planets kind of put in, and then some point down in the future, we're going to go and have a magical time where we can finally put this kit of parts we've been making, finish them off, put it all together, and this whole top section is going to look great sometime in the not too distant future, at which point then we can either make the figure or we can make the legs come down the side. Which reminds me, I still have to carve the back side of here. This is still a flat back, so that's another thing on my list of things I need to do and kind of figure out. But yeah, we're going to put those off for another time. I'm going to take these books out of the way. I'm going to take these scrolls out of the way. And we're just going to go ahead and push this guy back, because we really don't need him. And I'm not too worried about dust. There shouldn't be super much dust on this today. So what we're dealing with, and when I was looking at the image on the side and kind of doing my own kind of little measurements on that, we're generally going to fall inside of one of 4 different dimensions here. On the large end of things, we have about a 3/4 inch sphere, and on the bottom end, we have a 3/8 size. We have a 3/4, 5/8, ½ inch, 3/8. This is going to be our general sizes we can work from. Now, similar to the globe in the back here, again, when I started my day job, my dad gave me 2 bits of advice. He said, the 2 things you're going to learn on your job are things you'd like to do and things you'd like to pay somebody else to do. Well, in this case, again, I could make these things from scratch, but it was just a whole lot easier and cheaper. I found a pack of, I think it was a pack of like 250 of these guys, and it cost like $10, or I think it was actually less than $10 for the whole thing. So it's just easier picking those up and give myself that to start with than starting from 100% scratch. Plus, I now have a lot of things. If I do other models, I have a pack of those I can go off of as well. I've done that on a number of different kind of woodworking things. So I have like little discs of various sizes I can use. I now have spheres on sizes. I have like donut-shaped things of various sizes I can use. So I have at least a basic kit of parts now I can use for future things. But that being said, our master plan on this is I'm thinking, let me bring this doohickey back in here again. I really got to give this thing a name of some sort, but I haven't yet. So I said, my master plan right now is I'm going to be using a wire ring to kind of go around and kind of serve as the orbits. It's going to be the least intrusive, plus it'll be stronger than using, say, wood dowel. And for that, there are 2 ways I can go about attaching these, because now we're going to have these 2 endpoints on here. This is not 100% sized correctly. I'm just going to throw that out. But I've done is I pre-drilled these things, so we can, if we want to, I can just pre-drill all the way through. And the problem that serves is trying to get this. We want the cut edges on these to wind up inside the planets in the end, because that hides the cut edges and it makes it all work. So the problem with drilling all the way through is you can see one side can always push, and this thing can move all around. So what I'm ultimately going to be doing, whenever I find my guy who's now rolled away from me, no, that was the one, is I had gone and I drilled partway through, just a little bit, just enough to kind of get it started. So if we do push it in there, it's now locked in place, and it's not going to go anywhere. So I can keep that, it's not going to move. And that's going to be the way I'm going to go through these guys when I actually choose to attach them. So that's how we're going to be dealing with that. So I'm just going to so today's going to be making a bunch of these kind of celestial bodies. That's what I'm going for, celestial. I'm like, heavenly bodies? No. Planets? Not necessarily. But no, these celestial bodies, we're just going to pre-drill them, get them ready to go, make our kit of parts, and then in a future session, we're going to start attaching all these things. So with this, there are really 3 distinct types of celestial bodies I want to get through on this session. One of them I'm going to do twice at 2 different sizes, and then the other 2 are going to be kind of unique ones, and they'll serve the basis for all the others. I don't know, I haven't looked up exactly how many I want to do on here, so in the end we're going to have probably, I'm going to make either off camera or on a separate episode more than I need to, and then as we start stringing them on here we can see what feels right and what doesn't feel right. But first things first, let's realize that in this world, we're just going to use one of the bigger guys for this, for one of these. If you're not familiar with Final Fantasy V, there are generally 2 worlds. Sorry, I put the mask on slightly early. We generally have 2 worlds we're dealing with, and they're connected by traveling via meteorite. If you've ever played the game, you know you travel from one to the other. Meteorite comes down. That's why I made those little marks on the. That's why I made like these little marks on the planet, even though I made them way too small. There are 4 of those that come down. So rather than just have spheres like we see on the side, let's actually use elements from the game. So rather than just have a sphere and paint it nice and pretty, let's go and turn this into a meteorite and kind of beat the heck out of this thing a little bit. Which I have the wrong bit on here. Although I could probably use this one. This probably wouldn't be too bad. So let's go and just beat the heck out of this. Just a little bit. Now I don't want my hands anywhere near this as I'm going, so I'm gonna be using this guy, just kind of hold things back. And nice thing with this bit is if you start light, push down heavy, and come back light, it will make a nice little kind of divot in here that's spherical, because again we're using the natural circle of the saw to kind of do this, and then I can always come back later and fix it up with some sanding stuff. But so all we want to do is just kind of give a bunch of little kind of bumps on here. Now I usually use the term screeing for this, so I'm not sure if that's actually the term, but it just kind of, it's stuck. If I do this with skill saw sometimes, you have to kind of cut things, but if you go too deep, the saw doesn't want to cut anymore, because again, you're not cutting the natural direction of the saw. You're kind of going through the side, not straight down. You're going back and forth is your point of action. So sometimes the blade wants to kind of catch itself a little bit, and you need to be prepared for that. So I'm going to keep my thumb is now way away. I'm holding on to. So if I'm basing my thumb's not going to be anywhere near here. I'm going to keep that as far away just in case something bops and decides it wants to kind of fall somewhere it's not supposed to fall. But this is actually going to take longer than I thought. So I thought this would be just like a minute or 2 to kind of finish this one, but this 3/4 inch heavenly body here is bigger than time-wise, it's going to take, just longer than I figured it would to kind of get this right. But it will turn out good in the end. Now you got to have all the burn marks doing this. That is 100% expected on this type of application. Because again, the saw is not working in its natural direction, so it will burn its way through the wood. But all we want to do is get like this little lumpy dumpy kind of thing. It's going to look like a disco ball to you. When we get to the painting phase and all that, it'll look a little better. I'll probably make the insides a little darker, not that much for contrast, but we probably will do things a little darker and whatnot as we get into that. Okay, not all of them need to be the same size. But the idea is you want them to be kind of spherical or circular in shape. Because again, if something's going to make an impact, what you're figuring on is there are even smaller kind of meteorites and stuff hit these things as they travel through space. And an impact crater is going to be circular in shape. So our goal is to kind of keep things at least a circular kind of look to fit what we would expect this to be. Now again, they don't all have to be huge. We can make some small ones in here. They can kind of overlap and be close to each other. Yeah, stay tuned on this if you're still watching so far. Stay tuned to the end. The final one is going to be the one that's kind of worthwhile, I hope. So I'm going to try to save some time for that. Also, this will probably be the only full-size one I'm dealing with, so all the others, when they get smaller, go by faster as well. Which is super helpful. But you know, I know on the image these are all planets, but again, as with a lot of things on this project, I'm just kind of taking ideas that they have and then just using that as a starting point to then make whatever I want it to be. So here we now have this kind of lumpy-dumpy looking object. I can always rough that up a little bit too. We can just kind of do things to rough these things up. And I'm just going to stop that one kind of there. I could always rough it up later, but that's kind of the basic idea of getting our meteorite pieces that we want to make. Now again, on the image, there's only really one or two that are big on here. All the others are generally smaller. So we're just going to leave that one as that. I'm going to save you for the other one. I'm going to do a couple on this size. Let's do one more guy over here. How are we at? You know what? We're going to do phase 2 over here. All right. So meteorites are going to be the first type we can do. Second type, if you want to make a planet, you don't just make a sphere. When you think of a planet, you're probably thinking something else. So okay, we're going to hope this all comes together in the end. I should have drawn guidelines on this, but I didn't. Let's actually connect those two lines. Might be helpful. You'll understand why soon. Alright, we're almost there. We're almost connected. Okay, so what we've done now is we have bisected one of these spheres. We now have a kind of a hamburger looking thing going on. And if I can find where I stuck my cool things over here. Oh, this guy is too long. Don't lose that. Sorry about that. This is one of the hazards I have, where I have a long stick here that's hitting what I don't necessarily want it to hit. Let's maybe angle this back down towards the action going on. Okay, so we have two pieces. It's kind of what I'm looking for. We can now get that out of the way. I don't really have a nice circle to go off of the correct size, so I'm just going to use this and a pencil. We can round this thing out when we're being nice and neat about stuff, but for now, that's not too bad. So we have a half and halfy deal, and let's see. Let's get an actual number so we can see. What was this? This is one of the half-inch pieces, and I'm probably looking at maybe 3/8 center portion. So that was about 3/4. So 3/8 were here. 3/16 over from each side would be about what I'm going from. So it's going to be there to there. And there we go. Don't lose my hamburger piece. We want this hamburger piece. It's not going to be a hamburger piece for long. Let's not lose it. On you, what's going to be the easiest way to do this? Easiest way to do this actually probably is with this guy. So once again, I can actually, no, that's not. The inner circle, I think it's going to have two separate circles on this. Yeah, let's get the inner circle first, because that gives me still a lot of room I can grip this thing with that guy. Yeah, super easy, just bim bam bibbidi bop, done. And that kind of works out freakishly well. If I just sand the whole thing that way. I might as well, because by so super fast, there's no reason not to. Yeah, it sands so fast, there's no reason not to do it that way. So, hey, if it works, just go with it. Don't fight it. I apologize, you have to listen to this like dentist drill even more, but where'd my guy go? So ideally, we will take that. It's going to be able to slide in here halfway, and we have half of a unnamed ring planet. Because again, if you have a planet, and you want to make it look like a planet, you got to give it rings. I mean, it would be cheating if you don't. It's just not the same. What are we at now? We're 20 minutes. Okay, we're doing pretty good. Doing pretty good on time. Let's go hold this one more time. Make our rough form. Get the rough form done, then once it's all in place, I can kind of smooth it all out together. We're going too slow. We need some power. Nope, that didn't do it. There's a lot of line left over on that. Okay, so we ought to be able to take that one, shove it in here. In theory, they should both go together. Whoop. And they didn't. Alright, I want you. Okay, I'm going to hold this enough that I can get just a little deeper on this. And there we go. We now have a rough ring-looking planet. Just need to kind of clean it off a little bit. And it's going to be actually faster with the other guy. Sticking out just a little bit on the one side, but that gives us now something that looks like a planet. That works. We do meteorite things, we do little planets in the background. I'm going to stick these up. That's going to have kind of a fun. It's going to have a little fun look kind of up here. So we get. Hopefully, have it a little bit further over. We'll be able to do something kind of like that. It gives that celestial body look. As for the last one, I'm actually going to leave a little bit of a secret until we kind of go. You can try to guess what I'm doing as I go. And now I want to make sure I have the right size I'm doing with this, because these. Alright, so you were the biggest. Is there? I don't know what size. Where's my tape? I want kind of the second biggest size. I want one that's in between those two that I had just done. So that's 3/4. If I can get a 5/8, that would be super cool. This feels like the 5/8. Okay, this is going to be a little hinky, but we're gonna make this work. All right, how do we start this? There are other things in the sky that we need to take into account for this particular world we're working with. So I'm just going to leave this one as a little bit of surprise for you. And when you can figure out what I'm trying to do, you can yell at the computer screen, or phone screen, or whatever screen you're using, television screen. Let's go, I understand, I know it. But first things first, create a flat edge on this. We don't want that. We don't need the whole sphere, although I do need a little more of the neck on this showing, so I'm not hitting my pliers as I do this, because that would be slightly unfun. I probably could be doing this out of the larger size one too, but I don't think this one has to be as in your face in that regard, so a little bit smaller is going to be fine. Okay, so we have at least the basic part. Top there is kind of off, which is good. So now I want to go and grab you this wise. And let's see if I can get this at an angle where we can both kind of... I realize I'm in shade this way, but I'm kind of getting some way where I can hold this and you can see what I'm doing as well. I don't think that's going to work. I'm going to bring you in. I'm going to bring you out. Let me go ahead and draw kind of a rough line down the middle here. If I'm starting at that point, I'm going to go towards that. I don't necessarily need that line, but it is going to be maybe somewhat useful in this. Alright, let me move some of these things out before they all fall on the ground. We don't need everything to fall on the ground, or anything to fall on the ground. So right now we're a little fat. We don't need to be this fat. Rounded is still fine, but we don't really need to be this fat as we go. Okay, now as we're not being right-handed would be... Well, that really didn't change things. Yeah, now as we're not being right-handed would be kind of helpful. Oh, gotta go faster. Sometimes you just know you need more power to get what you want done. Again, burn marks are okay. This is going to be painted in the end. Whoop. Burn marks are okay. We will be painted in the end, so I'm not concerned about that. It's just finding a way to hold this thing is all the problems. Once again, we don't need to be this wide, so we're still kind of just blocking things out at this point. Still kind of blocking things out, but we're starting to get a look like we're going for. I'm actually going to hold that edge of it this time so we can kind of do a little more towards this side. getting there, we're getting there. Still want to carve down the top a little bit, but at least now this gives something. By doing the sides, I now have more I can grip on that. More power. We need more power. We're watching Home Improvement from the 90s now. More power. This is not standing down as easy as I thought it would. It's actually taking more effort. Okay, we're getting there. It's starting to take shape. We're a little fat still at this point, so we can take the sides in just a little bit more. By this point, if you know the game, you probably know what I'm making. If you don't know the game, you can hang tight, it'll come. Alright, getting there. Everything is burning off completely. That's okay. Yeah, I think when we go halfway between numbers is when this thing kind of acts up on me. Is what I'm kind of ultimately figuring out. Summary, we're 33 minutes. Okay, so I have plenty of time to make this look the way I want it to in the end, so that's good. I'm not really in any kind of time crunch. I'd rather not feel like I'm in any kind of time crunch on this, so let's see. Bottom doesn't need to be 100% round like that. We do still want some roundness to it, just not all the round. But we're starting to take a familiar kind of shape, if you can see what we're dealing with. And once I finish this rough carving, we start adding the next layers. This will all come into shape, assuming I keep things on camera. Like I said, I could have just made things nice in circles, nice and easy, but gotta have fun doing this. Gotta make something visually interesting. Like I said, you have to make things that are visually interesting. So that's all I'm doing right here, is we're doing a very familiar element that's going to be visually interesting to look at. We are still kind of on camera. Okay, that's not too bad. I'm not too worried about this if it nicks my hands. It is the sanding thing. And again, because of my job, the skin on my hands is a little probably thicker than most other people's. So if I'm using the saw blade, that's a more of a no-no. That I'm not going to do. But just because it's the sanding one, I'm not feeling as concerned about that. And I haven't hit anything yet, so there's that too. Okay, so we're taking shape. I think we go down still just a little too far, but we're almost there. Now I got to put that detail, that ridge line back in here. Okay, so we have this kind of going on. I think I want to just put a little bit of detail in this. So now I'm putting the saw blade back on here. So now we're going to go ahead and do that. Don't need to take a chance. Okay, now because of all the burn marks, this is actually really hard to see what's going on. I realize that. Okay, so all I did was kind of carve down into the top a little bit. Let's see if we can get a couple nice little straight edges on here, not hit my fingers in the process. That's kind of roughly what we're going for on that. Now I do have this nice little dowel here. It's actually a square dowel, which I rounded off. Prior to this, I did round off the edge of this. I think it's a 16th square dowel, but we're gonna go ahead and play with that a little bit. Let's see. How big is this drill bit that I've been using? Drill bit's actually probably not too bad. Let's keep using that one. This is one I used for the pads for. Okay, so I'm gonna make a little hole right in the middle. Now, I wasn't pushing down literally at all. Otherwise, my fingers would not have been there. But that's going to be enough to kind of place you. Let's see, how far up do we want this to go? Maybe something like that. I got myself a utility knife here. Chop you. I'm going to go ahead and stick this up here. All right, now I have two glues that are sitting here. One of them was good, one of them was bad because I never threw stuff out. So we're going to go play a little game and see which one's which. Was this the good one or was this the bad one from before? Hey, we found the good one. So let's pop that in, kind of keep it straight. I can put that back in there. Okay, let's not put it back in here. That can stay out. This one can go to the side. That must mean that's the bad. Or I'm pretty sure that's the bad one. Now with that sitting right there, I need, how are we doing on time? We're still only 40 minutes. All right, we're still going. Let's see, how big a... That can be something like that. I just want to cut. If you can see it, all I'm cutting is that little thing out, which is significantly smaller than the size of the fingernail. So let's maybe not use my work utility knife, let's just use this knife. I do like my work utility knife. It is easier to cut things with that, for sure. But it's also slightly bigger, and for something of this scale, that may not work as well. Good, I didn't lose it completely. Because now comes the real trick. I want to keep this here. I can either kind of freehand again what I've just done, or trace. And we're going to be close enough just freehanding it. Tracing it's going to be incredibly hard to do. So sometimes just kind of pick your battles. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That one, trying to hold a piece of that size in place while trying to trace, it's just not the most feasible thing in the world. So, yeah. But I can kind of put them side by side and compare sizes now. And we can get an idea of what works and what doesn't. Is one too big or is one too small? I kind of like the smaller guy. So we can work with that without cutting my fingers off. Although that's just a bonus. If I cut myself, I cut myself. I'm not super concerned. Things heal. You learn that over time. You cut yourself, something heals. You don't cut yourself too bad. I've seen bad things happen before in the design studio back in college, but I don't anticipate going to the emergency room anytime soon to... Okay, good. That hardened itself. That is nice. I actually, finally, am breaking out a pair of pliers. It's finally happening. But I think we hit that point where it's going to be beneficial to have a pair of pliers going. And let's hold this thing on here. I can't really do stuff while it's going. This may wind up sticking, this may not. I don't know. All signs point to no. I know you can't see much. I'm not doing much action right now. We're just hoping and praying that this thing works. Because let's try putting it. Let's try putting glue on there where it can kind of stick to that. And now hold this in. Oh, oh, oh. We're getting somewhere. This is going to be impossible to... Good luck painting on this thing. I don't know. But... we're going to be adding a craggy ton of glue to this whole thing. Let's add a little more to it. The more that's there, the better. At the same time, I had another piece. You probably watched it disappear right in front of your eyes. Where did it go? That wasn't the guy. Oh. There's the trick with working with tiny, really, really tiny things, is they will disappear. Don't fall over on... Oh, well, of course it fell over on me. I just pulled out the thing it was sitting on. Oh, I'm bad. I'm bad, I'm bad, I'm bad. Okay, I think when I cut the end off of this, I just took some pieces and kind of threw them this way, and one of them was probably what I needed. So I guess we're going to make ourselves... nope, I see it. There it is. Found it. Ooh, not the easiest thing to see. Nope, that didn't get it. Can we hit the thing? Hey, we got it. Okay. Well, whatever. I'm putting glue on the back side of this first. Because it kind of worked on the other guy. Okay, so I need to attach faster than what I just did. I need one more hand. That's my problem. Oh, I want this thing to work. It's going to look so good if this thing works. It's going to look so good if this thing works. We're at 50 minutes. I need this thing to work like now. Hook in there. This is the fun part of watching things live. That thing is gone. Is it gone? No. It landed on me somehow. Yeah, I don't know how this is going to work. Except it did work one time. Oh, oh. I'm not touching anything for a little bit. Putting some more glue on that. Putting some more on the underside. Yeah, we're going to be adding some glue on this thing as we go. But that's generally what we have going on. Whoop. Where that, in addition to our meteorites that we made, in addition to the planets we have on there, we need to have an airship. We can't not have an airship, so we're going to have an airship flying around. Oop, let's try to get my hand out of the way. As you can see, so this is one of those things both Sid and Mid work together to figure out. This is part of the Mid character who sits on here. The airship is one of his main things. So we had to build one of those, and that's going to be flying its way around this planet in the end. So again, we're allowed to have fun when we do these things. We don't just need to do a straight up sphere like it is 100% identical to what's on the image over there. We can do our own variations of things just to make life fun when we go and do these types of guys. We can make planets with rings. We can make meteorites. We can make the airships that fly around. So it makes it interesting. Again, it's going to add visual interest to this whole thing. So, as with usual, I'm not going to have any good new Wahoo stuff to show on here because I can't physically attach this to it. But, you know, as we can see, we're going to, if I didn't have, there we go. If I don't have, but we can have, I'm going to have my kit of parts ready for when we do actually attach these things to. And we can have this guy flying across the world along with the other stuff that comes down. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do next time if we continue making our kit of parts. Again, I've only made 3 of these things. We can make some more of that. I could make some more books. I could make some more scrolls. I could finish doing a number of things we have. I could start finding something new. I could figure out what I'm doing at the top here. I'm not sure where I want to go next time, but we're sure going to get there, whatever it is we're going to be doing. So until then, and until next time, enjoy.